Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the 5Marks Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am your host with the most, Mr. Martin115, joined by, as always, live from his car in the middle of nowhere, Mr. Carmo. How are we doing?
We're a little bit stranded this week, but we're okay. We're here. We're here. We're live. We're in action. It's okay. We're good. Welcome back for another week, ladies and gentlemen.
The podcast is going downhill now. He's living in his car. This is
It was going to happen at some stage.
this is what happens when you're friends with Gallicini. I'm just saying,
look. We'll blame Gallicini for some things, but not this one.
nah, that was 100% Gallicini's fault. I'm telling you that now. But this week we are talking all things RCW with the one, the only, Mr. RCW, the owner, Billy Bedlam. Billy, thank you so much for coming on today.
No worries at all. Thank you for a lovely welcome. I'm delighted to be here to have a chat. Yeah, thanks very much for having me.
I'm sure you're absolutely all over the place, stressed out as hell at the moment.
Not really stressed, but busy. Yeah, but not really that stressed. I mean, we've been at it a while now at this point. I just passed my 5-year anniversary being a promoter, and going into my 10th year in wrestling. So, don't really get that stressed anymore. Because we're a pretty good organized crew at this point, and obviously there's things that might stress you out if people are missing flights and all that kind of shit on show day. But generally speaking, this is the easy part, the run up.
It's just the kind of getting there. Then the day comes, and
Yeah.
someone says they've got COVID, and you're fucked.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah. Thank God that hasn't happened to me, and hopefully never again. But yeah. That's all good.
I think we'll start this off the way we started off with kind of everybody else. We're obviously going to go way, way back with yourself, and then kind of come full circle to RCW. What was your first kind of wrestling memory? What really started you as a fan?
Yeah, well, I'll show my age here now, right? One of my first real memories of wrestling was the Rockers were tagging against Power and Glory. I was just on my cousin's gaff watching them. I'd never seen wrestling before, and in classic Rocker style, I think Michaels got beaten up, had to leave, so Jannetty took them on, on a 2-on-1 type of scenario, and Michaels came in at the end, but the Power and Glory still beat him. So that was kind of the first time I saw it. I was like, "What's that? I love it." But when I started to really watch it a couple of years later, in the run up to, we'll say, the first ever King of the Ring.
Ooh.
After WrestleMania 9, that's when I started getting it recorded and in my aunt's house sent to me, long before streaming and networks and dirt sheets. This was way back, when Hulk Hogan had just beaten Bret in WrestleMania 9. I know we're coming up to WrestleMania 40, so I'm showing my age there now.
That's awful when you say that.
I think it adds charm. Every gray hair I have in my beard is every decision I've made as a booker. So,
Good way of looking at it, in fairness. Yeah. Was it back around those kind of times of tape trading then and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I was the guy in school. I was the guy in school. One friend would record it for me on a Sunday night, and he'd come to school on Monday morning, and I'd have it Monday evening then, and then I'd swap it around to people, and I'd be the one buying old videos in car boot sales and whatnot, and then trading around. Yeah.
Back in the fun times.
I was that guy.
I can imagine just like in the corner of the school somewhere, hood up, just yeah, you got the tape.
Yeah, exactly. a quick sneak cigarette. I thought in my sheltered little bubble of a world, I thought I was a real wrestling fan until I actually met real wrestling fans. And I was like, okay, I got shit on you guys, to be fair. When I first got into wrestling, I knew more than the average guy, like, you know what I mean? But as a wrestling fan, I was blown away by how much other people knew more than me, like when I first got into the business.
That's what happened when I met him. No, not even a joke. I thought I was a walking wiki, and then Carmo shows up and it's like, oh, there's this other side of wrestling too, and fucking here we are now, a year later, hooked on something else.
I lived in Dublin years ago, and I actually contacted a school in Dublin way back before I don't know, I think it was when I was whip at the school, because I was talking to somebody and I didn't have the balls to go down. I panicked. Like, this didn't have it with him. This is my mid-20s. I didn't get into wrestling when I was 35. I'm sure we'll ask me some questions on that. But I often wondered, in a parallel universe, did I wrestle, and have I another 10 years that I should have been involved, at some point in the Dublin scene, we'll say, But anyway, it's probably parallel universe somewhere.
You're the current on the Roman Reigns run at the moment.
Mm,
In some other parallel universe.
exactly, yeah. Witness me.
Go on, Carmo.
I was just going to go back into when you kind of got into wrestling. What was it about wrestling that kind of got you into it? Was it kind of like the overtop characters? Was it just the high energy of the whole show?
It's I don't know. You just gravitate towards it, don't you? There's nothing you can put your finger on. I mean, the first shows I watch Superstars, right? So around the time of the Two Doinks and Mr. Perfect, Jerry the King Lawler, that type of thing. But there was a lot of squash matches, so I didn't see an awful lot of matches. But it was just it was all kind of characters. And I was like, this is really, I loved it. I was hooked, and that was a long time ago. So I'm still hooked. Yeah, no, I think it was just the craziness of it, and the tagline at the time was the WWF, anything can happen. I think it was. And they were dead right. Back in those days, it was all surprises and shocks and stuff like that. But yeah, I loved it.
Was there ever a point, because I feel like some wrestling, I've never had this, and I never understand people having it. Ever like a point, kind of like you kind of just dipped out of wrestling? You kind of went, no, put a pause on that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, there was, I suppose. And during COVID, I went back and I watched that period of time. So it was like new product for me. It was amazing. I was all the way up until Guerrero died. After that, I stopped watching for a few years. Because I think that really affected me. I don't think I ever looked at wrestling the same again after that, to be fair. It devastated me, like, to be fair. And I didn't watch wrestling for ages after it, because I couldn't believe that my hero like that was just gone, and it just was so young and all that. It really, really affected me from a wrestling perspective. So and even a life perspective, I was in my young 20s, mid 20s, whatever. And yeah, it was devastating. So I kind of took a break for a couple of years, then just kind of, I think it was when I got back, when I started kind of I was half watching wrestling. Just watch the pay-per-views, just watch the main shows, and then when I kind of started watching or getting interested myself, I started getting hooked back into it properly. So I took a long period where I didn't watch it at all, then kind of watch it part-time and into where I am now, which is heavily immersed in
I'm gonna ask you this now, just because I may end up start laughing. When did you kind of dip back in to, like, let's say, to wrestling?
properly. Oh, I don't know. Was there? It was around the time of Evolution, I think.
Okay.
Around then. Does that timeline? Yeah. So I just got trying to think back. So, yeah, it was around that Evolution run, and when Goldberg came around, that was when I kind of started watching it again, but only part time. It was when I got really, really back into it. It was when I started actually getting interested in myself, and that was around Daniel Bryan's.
This is what I was waiting for. It's got to be a Cork thing, because my mother's got Cork family. Same thing. Eddie Guerrero died. She just lost interest. Daniel Bryan showed up. Oh, she came right back in, fell in love all over again.
I'm gonna say something controversial. I hated Daniel Bryan,
Did you?
but I just remember that. I just remember that time, because I was so anti Daniel Bryan at the time. Now I do like him now, but I just I didn't buy into Daniel, and I think it was just because everyone was fucking buying into it. I'm
Yeah.
that type of person. I'm like, no, I don't want to buy into it just because you are. I don't have to. And then but I do that with a lot of wrestlers. Like, I'm only just recently the one person I haven't done that I have bought into is LA Knight, by the way, who I love.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. So, like, I was a Sean guy, not a Brett guy. When everyone was Brett guys type of thing, and I kind of go away from the really, really popular person. I kind of take the second or third one, and I attach myself to
Yeah.
that. And I like to maybe get in on the ground floor, like Guerrero, and then when you rise up, when you follow him from like that, or Michaels, it's such a big payoff as a fan.
I'd be near enough the same. I prefer the kind of smaller guys, like
Yeah.
I change all the fucking time. Like 2016, I was like, oh yeah, Apollo Crews is go for him. Like right now, I love watching Austin Theory's rise. Now, since he went over to SmackDown, it's been fucking absolute dog shit. Like he's had nothing to work with.
Yeah.
So I still love Theory. I wanted to do stuff like losing the belt last week. I hated it. But I'm gonna go off on my own fucking tangent here if I continue.
Okay. The biggest one that I'm following, and I follow them all the time throughout the Indies and everything, is Cody.
Yeah.
Because I was a massive Goldust fan as well. Always was. I love Goldust's work. And when Cody came in, I heard him on a couple of podcasts. And then when he left WWE, he was on a Colt Cabana podcast, and it was just, for 2 hours. He just spoke the fucking truth. I was like, this is. But I was kind of interesting a few years. This is brilliant to hear someone talking about it properly. So yeah, I'm a Cody guy, and I will be at WrestleMania next year. I've never been, so I'm like,
oh, you've never been?
Nice.
Oh, you'll love it. You'll love.
Yeah.
I was at 34. Oh my god! Just make sure you bring some entertainment for the pre-shows, because you hear nothing, you see nothing, and it's just boring.
Yeah, I'm sure if I go with a lot of wrestlers, we'll entertain ourselves, all right.
Just jump in the ring.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
grab Butcher Armstrong. Right, come on, we're doing it.
Yeah. Just lock up there, Butch.
This is our moment.
Yeah, just for you getting our WrestleMania moment, then we fucking Billy Bedlam out of the arena.
I'll throw back to you, Carmo.
It'll be worth it anyway, so it'll be fine. Just kind of talking in then. How did you actually get into wrestling?
I found out that there was a wrestling. Actually, I broke up with my ex. And I fuck all to do. Sorry if I swear a little bit. I don't.
Oh, you're grand. We swear all the time.
Good. So, we're talking about 10 years ago. I moved back from Dublin, and I literally had a void in my life because I was not home for 7 years, and I filled it with wrestling. How sad is that? Or how brilliant is that? Whichever way you want to look at it, I think it's brilliant.
Brilliant.
So I heard there was a local scene in Cork. Ross Brown, who was the CCW champ at the time, and he was on the telly. So I was like, this could be cool, myself and my buddy Tom, who commentated with me in CCW. We went down training one day, and it was about 5 weeks after CCW opened the school, and I was just thrown around the place basically by wrestlers. I was like, fucking suplexes, and I was like, this is unbelievable. This is my dream come true. So I never left. Basically, after that, I trained, and I went in commentary for a long time, and then I never left.
No, we've had like different perspectives of CCW. What was like your kind of perspective of being there and working with the company?
Well, I suppose I'd have fond memories in some aspects of it, and then I was very well aware of the trouble towards the end, because I suppose I was one of the guys who pretty much helped, if not spearheaded, the change to Phoenix, right? And went proactively about it, and bought a ring and did all the stuff with it. But for a long time, I got on really well with the promoter Lee Callan. He had some really good ideas, some mad shit back crazy ideas too. And in the end, we fell out over various reasons. However, some of the product that he produced was really good. The people I met while doing CCW, I'm still friends with. We're still wrestling together today. And for the longest time, it was a very positive place to be. But it also, I suppose, always had a bit of an undercurrent to it.
Yeah.
But like, I have very fond memories. I had some great matches. I was appreciated of being allowed into the business and trained, and like I met Marion Armstrong, Luke Barry. I met him very early in my CCW days. Myself and Raven did a lot of stuff together in therapy in the CCW days. Matt Skyler, Butch Armstrong, who I absolutely adore. So it was, the people aspect of CCW was brilliant, and that's what kept me going back all the time. And they did some really good shows too, to be fair. It was just in the end, it didn't really end terribly well and whatnot. Fundamentally, we took the best parts of that and formed Phoenix in 5 years ago. So
now I'll send it back to Carmo, because I know he's going to send it back a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of want to go back a small bit just about the training aspect. This is something that we kind of ask a lot of the guys, and like I did a little bit of training myself, so I know how kind of tricky it is. What was kind of the toughest part for you? Was it taking bumps? Was it running the ropes? Was it just
Yeah, I think
man
just
in general?
getting fucking hit really. Like I'm in my 40s. I'm in reasonably good shape even now, but I started wrestling 10 years ago, and I played sports all my life. Like I played a pretty high level of soccer as well, so I was pretty reasonably fit. Do you know what I mean? No, you're not getting fucking horsed around the place playing soccer or hurling or whatever you are, but they're very different. So I suppose the biggest shock to the system was getting hit by stuff like the ring, like your elbows, even learning how to take bumps. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ, that's not supposed to be like that. You know what I mean? So just learning that, picking up a few injuries, and just getting used to it at the start. That was the first thing, and the second thing really was trying to act, pretend, form a character. I had I had a lot of shit ideas before I came up with Billy Bedlam. Like my original character was supposed to be called Mason Ace. He was very heavily influenced from the Casino, from Robert De Niro's as a gambler. Like he'd always have an ace up his sleeve, and if I was a betting man, which I am, you can bet on Mason Ace. So that was the original stuff. But yeah, I suppose it's hard to go from not being a wrestler to a wrestler. Like there's a bit of a journey there, and that's difficult. You know, it's not for everybody, and but I wouldn't change it. Wouldn't change it for anything in the world.
And do you remember at all like the kind of length it took from like where you started
Yeah,
training to actually finally making your proper wrestling
yeah,
debut?
yeah. I do. Yeah, I started training in May, I think 2013 or 2014, one or the other. And yeah, I think I'm 9 years in wrestling now. So it was May 2014. Trained for a good while, but like never really fully committed to it. Like maybe train once in a while, every couple of weeks or whatever. And I got involved. I was commentating for CCW for about a year up until, so that was May, and then Easter the following year is when I came off commentary. I was like, okay, I want to give this a good go. And at that point, I was training quite regularly, at least once or twice a week. I was getting better, and I said, "Look, to Lee, look, I'd like to try give wrestling a go and actually be a wrestler. Like, look, I'm getting." And he said, "Yeah, let's give it a go." So he took me off the desk, and yeah, that was it. It was I made my debut in the summer of 15, we'll say. So 8 years
Okay.
active this year. Yeah.
And then like because this is something we don't talk about. Like, we talked about Luke Barry. How different is it going from commentary to wrestling, like preparation wise in terms of for your head? Which one would you say is more stressful?
Oh, wrestling is way more stressful. I think like I distinctly remember my first match and nearly panicking in the back. What am I doing? Like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? I went out the minute I went out. I absolutely loved it, and I was like, "Can I go back to it again?" But I did have that moment. Looking, I was wearing yellow boots. I was in a green singlet, as like the Irish Warrior. I bought it on eLucha, like a Finlay Bedlam. People who's coming for messing. Um, and yeah, it was just like it's so different to where I actually ended up, like, you know. But yeah, it was nervous. It's nervous at the start. It's nervous now even. You get those nerves in your belly before you go out there, but the day you stop having those nerves is the day you quit for good, you know.
Throw back to you, Carmo.
100%.
That's what Ric Flair said anyway. So who am I to tell the great Ric Flair?
None of us are really.
Exactly. Yeah.
As you kind of talked about then, kind of towards the end of CCW into kind of Phoenix, how was that transition even going from wrestler to promoter?
Yeah, that was difficult. That was difficult for a lot of reasons. So, like, I was very like I was nervous about being the one making the decisions. I was nervous about holding the locker room's attention. I was nervous about wrestlers trusting me, and not kind of just doing it for the sake of it or doing it for the payday. And I won't say wanted respect or anything, but wanted to be respected as a performer as well as a promoter. You know what I mean? It's very hard. I was talking to somebody about that today, like where I am now 5 years later and where I was 5 years ago. Like Joe Cabrera worked our first couple of shows, Luther Ward, like, and like came up and asked me what I want from the match. Like I was nearly frozen. You know what I mean? And it's not that I was afraid or anything like that, because I'm not. But it was like, how am I to tell him what to do?
Mm.
when I like, because he's so much more experienced than me, and he was a promoter himself. He was maybe a year or two in the run at that point. Actually, maybe 2 or 3 years at that point. Um, and I'd worked at .e shows with him as well. You know what I mean? And just listen to him. Like when I was kind of a much greener wrestler, I used to just listen to everybody around me trying to get better. But that's the kind of thing I struggled with. I struggled with my own comfort zone if the people won't take me seriously as a promoter because I don't know how to tell them to wrestle. But over time, you kind of gain confidence, and you gain confidence in the stories you're telling and the shows and the draw and all that kind of stuff. And then after a while, then you get more comfortable in it. And like it's my real job, or my real job is wrestling promoter. My part-time, full-time job gimmick, that's I'm a sales manager in an IT company. It helps me be articulate because it's what I do for a living. I speak for a living. So as soon as I got over that fear of that, I became very comfortable in it because it's kind of what I do for a living: organize things, promote, sell, right? And I think a lot of the guys that work for me, I like working with a lot of the same people all the time because it builds a great locker room, builds a rapport. I like bringing people in now, don't get me wrong, but I think you'll see the very core nucleus of my shows has never changed from Phoenix to RCW because basically it's still me. And the nucleus is always going to stay the same because I love working with the same people. But yeah, that was a challenge at the start. The first year was difficult, was very difficult. But look, we got there, and I think we're in a good place, great place.
So I just,
100%.
oh, sorry, go, Carmo.
No, I was just going to ask, kind of really kind of go back on the point there. It said about working in sales as kind of your daytime job.
Yeah.
Do you find that helped really, like, kind of in selling the venue of kind of I want to do this, selling to the wrestlers I really want to do this? Do you know that kind of way?
Well, it helps when you're going into a venue and you have to sell the product, right? So it helps being able to talk to people, being able to communicate people and act professionally and carry yourself. That's what it helps, you know. And it does. I don't get nervous talking in front of people. So when I'm sitting up, and now I'm very comfortable with standing in a ring talking to the people that I have on the show. Doesn't matter if you're an import or not, or your Scotty Too Hottie will say, or whatever, you know, I'm comfortable now with it. But it's just at the start I wasn't comfortable with it. But because of my job, it does make it is easier because of what I do, like, you know, like I did to give you an example of in my day job, I hosted a conference there recently of a couple of hundred people, and the first sentence I said to them was, normally you see me hosting wrestling shows, so put them at ease, but during the night, all they wanted to talk to me was wrestling because nobody really would give a shit about my IT job. So that they at this point they complement each other. You know, I use them in both lives very very comfortably.
So I want to go back again because obviously like we're gonna go really in depth on obviously promoting and
Yeah.
RCW and Phoenix and everything. So I want to go like Billy Bedlam, the character, the wrestler. How different? I'm hoping to God you say very very different. Is Billy Bedlam the wrestler to yourself now? For people who don't know Billy Bedlam.
All right. Well, Billy Bedlam's character started out. I suppose I like everybody else. They didn't really know what they were doing when you create a character, right? So I started out going, okay, Billy Bedlam's a madman, right? He's a puppet, and he does this and he does that. And I was with Raven, and we were kind of doing a creepy gimmick, and it's evolved, right? It's evolved to where I don't know which one grew up, whether I grew up or Billy Bedlam grew up, but we're now kind of the same thing, really. So I still have with him. I still bring him out from time to time when I wrestle, but I've kind of gone away from the more sinister side of things, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like at that stage, I was playing a heel and just doing stuff for. And I would say we're talking 7 or 8 years ago when there was still a lot of shock value at over 18s wrestling in Ireland, and you know we were kind of, as the promoter at the time, not for me, but the promoter was trying to go for that ECW attitude era shock
Yeah.
values. Everything on the show had to be shock, shock, shock. So that's kind of what I was going for, if you know what I mean. But as I kind of grew into myself and figured out that the audience, because William was over, I was nearly the puppet. I kind of just changed. I kind of went that way with it, you know. So I was never a good guy in CCW, and I never had a face turn or anything like that. But I just ended up, I suppose, just trying to be more entertaining with the whole thing. And at that point, I was really comfortable. So the evolution of Billy Bedlam I think the character grew up over the years, really.
And where did the idea then of William come? Did it carry a puppet with you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you see, um, Ricky Combat actually, who was the next an old CCW guy, gave me the idea. So you're there and you're resting and you're called Billy Bedlam. You're supposed to be mad, but like you're doing nothing. You're just saying that you're Billy Bedlam and you're mad, and you're in just Ilucha trunks, right? So what makes you different to everybody else? What makes if you're on a wrestling show and there's 8 good wrestlers, and I'm not saying I was a great wrestler or anything, I was only learning. What makes you stand out? So he said, maybe you should get a doll or something like that. And I was like, he's onto something here. So then I was looking online, I was like, shit, I got a puppet. And I got this puppet on eBay. It was a really creepy looking thing. And I also had an idea. I was like, okay, well, I could hide stuff under the puppet because it's a hand puppet.
Yeah.
So we say referee grabs or Foxy or whoever grabs the puppet, turns his back, I brass knucks, bang, cheese,
That's smart.
brass knucks down the tights, 1, 2, 3, yeah. So that's where and then I started getting custom gear and all that kind of stuff, and I got myself into better shape, and it just all started to click that way, and then we myself and Raven came together to do therapy, and again we were going for that kind of weirdness, weird kind of vibe, which we kind of got it over, like, so that was the main thing.
Let's like we'll talk about the time with Raven, because obviously it didn't last too long, but it lasted long enough. Yourself and Raven at therapy. What was like working with Raven Creed at the time?
She's fair, always has been, always will be. So yeah, it was really a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of crazy ideas. We kind of it kind of had run its course there. So as CCW was ending, we're like, well, there's no point bringing therapy into Phoenix. Although we did have that one callback, the reunion against Session Matt and Nikki, and the Session Puppet versus William. That's an intergender puppet match that's available. We had in Dolan's Warehouse. It is available on YouTube. It was a crazy match, but she was great to plan with. She was great to work with. I've not but respect for her. She's a great pro. And I've worked with her for years since. So yeah, she's brilliant, in fairness.
Is there a match that really
it scares the bejesus out of me, is the real answer. But no, she's a great girl, in fairness.
I mean, I had to interview her there after Hard Knocks, and trust me, she scares me. I had to end the interview before she started killing me.
Yeah, you easily get a shank, no problem whatsoever.
Oh, no problem at all. Like, just all it takes is that one look. You're like, yeah, she's gonna kill me. Let's end this here now. Let's.
It's all over.
But like, what's kind of one match with yourself and Raven that really stands out for yourself?
Yeah, well, I suppose we had a trilogy of matches in the old Kino, with Lauren LaRue and Axel Jeffries, or Corey Jeffries as he was known to after he retired. They were really special to me because they were the first time I felt I really got it. Like, I was getting there, I was in front of a live, proper over 18s crowd, and they knew who I was at this time, and we had done some weird stuff where I ended up fucking beating Raven up and my own tag team partner and stuff. But it was cool, because it was the first time I felt like I had arrived. I had arrived because people were talking about it, and I felt comfortable in the ring, and the feedback I got was good from that. So I really enjoyed that. But I think our best moment, or one of my favorite matches, was the one in Dolan's with myself, Emma, William, or Raven and William versus Session Puppet, Session Matt, and Fabulous Nikki. If you haven't seen that match, you should go watch it.
I'm gonna have to go check it out now as soon
That's
as
my
we
plans
end
for the evening, sort of.
just to see an intergender puppet match.
Session Puppet did a dive and everything off the stage. It was fucking mental. Yeah. It was mental. Yeah. I think that was my best. That was my favorite match with Raven Creed. It was a good way it was a nice callback to therapy, and it was a nice way for us to kind of finish off in style, because we never had that moment in CCW. So yeah, it was good.
Just because it is kind of around the time still where you're still learning in the business. Is there anything that you really learned from working with Raven?
I suppose because we were both. We were saying at the time we were kind of the same experience levels, so I think we were both learning. We were both learning on the job, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I learned how to be a tag team while tagging with her. And I learned how to do some really cool promos. If you look back at some of the promos we did, like we went down to we did a promo on the beach in the middle of it was winter, so it wasn't the middle of the night, but it was very dark when there was a ladder on fire and everything. It was, we really went for it with the promos because we wanted to get noticed, and we did. So good or bad, it was noticeable. So I think that's what we kind of learned. And she was and still is a lot more technically gifted in the ring than I am. So I kind of learned it from that side of her as well.
I'll let you go and throw in a few questions there, Carmo.
Yeah, I just kind of want to talk about the start of Phoenix Wrestling for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like obviously CCW had just kind of shut down and everything like that. How important was it to bring Phoenix Wrestling not only to Cork but like Munster, Ireland in general?
Yeah, well, I think so. We were having conversations in the background for a while about how to do it and what to do, and I was kind of probably the biggest advocate for we got to fucking do this, you know. And we were talking to a few people about it, but like we got a few bob together, and myself and Luke and Steve Savage ended up just going for it, you know. And I think to make it real, a real and actually, oh Jesus, they're doing something cool. I think we really felt we arrived when we did Dolan's as well as the Kino. So we Dolan's and the Kino, like, oh Jesus, they're doing something different here. And we had our first show on Dolan's was absolutely epic. Like all the shows are, to be fair, it's a great venue. So I think we felt we arrived when we started doing that, but it was really important to get the Kino because that at the time, and it still is probably the center of Cork wrestling from a show perspective. The best shows have been done in the Kino from a venue perspective. Now we're moving on, as we can talk about that later on to a different venue, but that's how important it was to get those two venues announced within a few weeks of each other, right? We kind of double announced very very close together because we felt okay, let's make a splash here when we're doing it. Because essentially we closed down CCW without it being closed. You know what I mean? I think Lee had no choice but to close it down because everybody left with us. So yeah.
We've even heard we had Luke Barry on an episode a couple of weeks ago, and like how important it was for Phoenix to actually come in. Like,
yeah.
Was it always a thought of doing Cork and Limerick, or was it just kind of starting Cork and then move your?
It was always on the cards to do both because like when we were setting up originally, myself and Luke when we were setting up originally it was three of us involved. It was Luke, myself, and Steve. We were kind of the faces of it, myself and Luke more so than Steve. He was more in the background, but he was the one who got Dolan's, right? So I mean, he had a very important place and part of Phoenix history. But we always wanted to do both, and we always wanted to do Waterford, which we did a couple of shows in Waterford too. We always wanted to make that big splash. I suppose we had it in our heads that we wanted to be the number one after OTT in Ireland, right? Because there's no comparison there. So, they're a national product, whereas we know we're regional, but we wanted to be the best regional we could be. So we identified venues that we could run, and just went for it. You know, probably went too hard on it the first year. That's why we all felt the financial strain because. And I'll take the hit for that because I was the one who kept booking venues every 3 weeks. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. It did kind of get under control. We probably should have reined it back a small bit and maybe learned a little bit as we were going. But you know, we learned on the job, and it was an enjoyable experience at the same time.
So then, how special was Phoenix really to you? Because we talked about Luke Barry. You know, he talked about how great it was until he just kind of got not tired, but he's been the wrestling business for so long, he just needed a break and stuff. So then for yourself, like Phoenix Wrestling, how special was it for you?
Yeah, well, I suppose what kind of happened in some aspects of it was we were running hard for maybe 2 years, right? And Steve had some injuries, and Luke was kind of feeling the strain a little bit as well, right? So I went okay, well look, I'll take over, and without going into the details, right? Because I have too much respect for the other guys here, but I ended up kind of taking it on. But I wanted to take it on. I felt I had the passion for it. I felt I had the scope. I didn't have a young family or whatever like that. I'm like, okay, well, I have the scope here, I believe, to take it on. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
Literally about 3 weeks after I decided to take it on. So there was a real struggle then after that, even for myself, because we were a dormant company like everybody else, trying to do stuff. But when we came back out of COVID, it was very much a joint effort for a lot of it. Was myself and Steve again. And then we brought Luke back in, not in any way only as a kind of an entertainer, though. He wasn't involved in the running of the company or anything. And I think that's kind of suited him, because I was always at him. I was like, you can't, especially Luke. I was like, there's no way I'm going to let you go like this. Fucking just go like that. I was like, you're in it too much. You've too much talent. So I kept on him, and I was like, I have an idea. I have this great idea. We'll fucking bring you back. We won't tell anyone. We won't even tell the wrestlers. And I get shivers when I think about it. Like, I got a bigger pop than Scotty Tuhati being announced. We brought him back at the end of his show to save me, in the back door. None of the fucking wrestlers even knew he was there. And the pop he got to this day is probably the best thing I've ever promoted. So I'm thrilled to have him around again wrestling, because he's too talented to not be involved. But I get it why he needed. Well, I have nothing but respect for him.
So just for yourself, obviously as the promoter, what's your favorite Phoenix show that happened that you look back and go, oh man, that was just such a great night?
Yeah, I think the first one is very hard to top. The first one, we did a killer main event. Terry Thatcher, Bruiser, I think Ricky Graham and Michael May. I think it's just, and the relief of having done it and that we got to see the This Is Phoenix chants going, and the Kino. I've never seen the Kino so packed ever. Even afterwards, I don't think we ever filled it like that. And it was just the sheer joy and relief. Yeah, that was really special. The first Limerick show, I think, was on par with that. I believe that was unreal as well. Yeah.
I feel like you just bring wrestling to Limerick, and Limerick are just gonna be loud. It just seems to be that way. Some
Yeah,
with
well,
Dolan's.
we had a good show, and we were telling a good story with Steve there as well, and LJ Cleary and Phil Boy getting involved. So I think the timing was right there. Yeah, it was good. It was good. There was a lot of good shows over the years, in Phoenix. I think that we did a couple of really good. East Good Friday is always a good draw for us in Cork. And the comeback show actually after COVID, that was a really special one for me personally, because I was wrestling on that, and the reception I got from the Circus Factory crowd for my own entrance, which is Zombie from the Cranberries, was fucking, it was electric. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I'll throw it back to you, Carmo.
Look, we kind of have to talk about it, unfortunately. COVID. Obviously, COVID kicked in, and you were talking there about booking show after show after show, and it did seem Phoenix was on a really, really hot run and going to really good places. I know you had the training school down in Cork. I believe you were just after opening a training school in Limerick as well. To have COVID kick in and then everything just to stop.
Yeah.
How was that? If not only as you was the promoter, but just you.
It was devastating, to be honest with you, because I had before we ever went to Limerick, I had a school in Cork, and I had just taken out of. We kind of opened up again after the first lockdown, and then it got worse. And I'd taken out a long lease of a brand new facility, which I was going to turn into a studio, right? Which was going to do a lot of recording in there, like a sound studio, and I bought a lot of equipment. That was devastating. We never got to use it. We did one really, really tiny show with 30 people in it. Everybody 2 meters apart. I think it's up online as well. Oh, it was only all Cork people, and Steve was in it as well, actually. Because Dublin went into lockdown the day beforehand, and I couldn't bring down Dublin wrestlers or anything. So it was a roller coaster, and there was all sorts of madness going on throughout the wrestling world at the time, speaking out and everything. And fucking, you'd be on the edge of your seat half the time. With Twitter was just toxic, and it was horrible. It was a horrible place to be, and I was nearly regretful at some points that I had chosen to take this on my own. So it was very difficult, very difficult. But I have some good friends in wrestling. We kept very close. through every day on the phone and stuff, you know. But not just me, but I'm sure a lot of people did it, and we got there, we got through it, and we got to a great place. But COVID was.
I feel like at that time as well, every wrestler kind of the same thing. We had Carmo probably remembers who was talking about it. So we had somebody on there a few weeks ago. It's the same thing, you know, all the stuff going on. You know, he lost love. Actually, I think it was Danny Cross we had him on. Because he was, you know, he almost like he lost love, and then he just started watching Irish wrestling again. He goes, "No, this is why I love it. It's because of this place. This is why I love it," and that's what kept his passion going. Um, but then obviously said like got through it, came back, did a massive show, and the massive payoff of the pop in the crowd for you
Yeah,
coming out then. So it was all
I,
worth it in the end.
it's yeah, but I'm a stubborn fucker, like, and I was just like, I'm just not going to bow down, or not bow down, but I'm not going to give in. I've too much invested. I've too much time invested. I've too many fucking good things that I want to do in wrestling, and I think we're doing a good job in the scene in Cork, and I'd love to. I hope to build it. And I hope the next steps we're making over the next few months is going to be really cool to build it even further. And I really regret it. I really regret it, and I nearly bowed out after when we did when Phoenix closed and the RCW opened. There was a time there when really nearly bowed out, but I'm glad I didn't, and I would have regretted it. So, here's to the future, you know.
And obviously that's what we're gonna go into now. Are you looked at anything, Carmel?
No, I was actually just going to ask about that, but I'll let you
Yeah.
talk
So
about that.
obviously Phoenix closed its doors, and with that we had two brand new promotions of Hard Knocks, and then for yourself, RCW. Where did the kind of thought process of starting RCW kind of come to play?
Will I be very honest with you? It came out of pure and utter stubbornness. That's exactly where it came from. Um, and that's the most honest answer I'd ever give anybody. I just it was stubbornness. Yeah, I was like, okay, I can't just walk away. I can't just walk away. I can't leave Cork. I was like, I think I was telling myself, oh, I can't leave Cork without wrestling. And I'm not pretending, but I was like, that's the noble thing to do. It was like, bollocks, you're too stubborn, Billy, to leave. That's what it really is. You know? And I was like, okay, fair enough. At least I admitted to myself. So that's really where it was. I was like, okay, well, I could just, but I fucking so much unfinished business. I was like, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to start small. I'm going to do a show and see, do I want to do it? That was the plan. I was like, I'm going to do one show. If it goes well, I'll do more shows. I was never going into it going, I'm only going to do one show, but good luck. I was quite open with everybody around me that I needed to do this for my own health. I needed to do this myself, and I needed to see, did I really want to do this again? And we had possibly one of the most positive experiences I've ever had in wrestling that night. It was just a brilliant show, brilliant wrestling, brilliant crowd, so well appreciated, so well received. I tried to change the formula a little bit from my previous days in Phoenix, the way we ended up with the song, and I'm sure you remember from the last show.
Yeah.
That's a Cork tradition. We always do that when we're on the road trip. On the way back, we'll always sing "Fuck Her Gently" and the whole car screaming at the top of our voice. So I was like, right, I'm gonna let the crowd in with this Cork wrestling tradition. We're gonna do it at the end of every show. And it was great. And so then after that, I booked another show, and which I couldn't actually attend because I was in hospital. But
Oh, but that game was one of the best things ever with fucking
yeah.
Justy and Barry. Oh, like Luke and
Oh,
the
yeah.
two of them had me dying. Oh, he's dead. He's not fucking dead. Just shut up.
I know. Luke texted me that day or the day after. He was like, "You're gonna love this. I pretended you were dead." Um, but um, but yeah, that was it. I said I was going to do one show, see that I really have the hunger and the appetite for it. And I think the main the main match that I knew I could was LJ Cleary versus Fabio versus Martin Steers, and I just told him go out and have an indie match. I said go out and have a banger, go and do everything that you want to do in a wrestling ring, and I was nearly in tears. It was so good, and I was like, yeah, I gotta be around. I gotta be around this. Like it's such a positive thing to be around. So now we're I think 6 shows in and have another 3 coming up. So yeah, so much for so much for retiring.
You never
Yeah.
say never in wrestling. People like I think it's this is it Vince or someone who says this. You know, you can't retire in wrestling. You just can't. You always end up back in some form.
I made that mistake actually once. I had a retirement match with Bruiser. It's not online. We ran out of money to record it. But it was a concept I had, the 4 Pillars of Pain match, where the weapons were chained to the 4 pillars. So it was, I can't remember, it was tax, chair, kendo, brass knuck, something like that. And Foxy had to go around and unchain the weapon, and then you could use it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was a fucking amazing match. It was the best match I ever had. And in some ways, I'm probably glad it wasn't recorded, because it could stay in here now. It was this amazing match that gets better every time I think about it. But that was my retirement match because I lost. But I didn't retire, obviously. I wrestled since then. No, I haven't wrestled in RCW yet. And I won't be wrestling anytime soon because I'm still not medically cleared next year. But I haven't said never say never. I haven't said I'm retired. I'm just inactive right now.
And then obviously, like as you said, oh sorry, Carmo, go on.
I was just going to say it was a question I was going to ask later, so you kind of cleared it up for us now anyway. So
I will, if I can go, I'll wrestle next year, 100%. I have a few things I want to do. I still have some gas in the tank. I'm still in reasonably good shape. We'll assess the situation next year. I want to be able to train first for a good few months to get rid of any ring rust and just get my confidence up and whatnot. But I 100% will be back in a wrestling ring if I'm able. 100% back.
I'm just, like the seeds were planted and hooked on the field, and it, like as he said, he hasn't said never say never. But that's actually that's one of the shows I really want to talk about today. As obviously with what's coming up, hooked on a feeling. Oh my god! It was my first RCW show. I've been watching the other shows on YouTube. Oh my god! First off, what a card! What a show that was put on. Like just for you, because obviously I'll ask you for each individual match. The whole night as a whole, how
Yeah.
was that for you?
Yeah, it was brilliant. No, to be fair, I never forget. I'll never forget putting that belt on Lee in the ring, because again, that's the way I want to do it. Is like, I want to do the Dana White thing. I want to do that. Put the belt on you. Had a nice moment. I have a lot of time for Lee. We go way back, and he's a great guy. So that was a special moment. And the match with Charlie Sterling as well blew the roof off.
Oh
It was unreal. Like, I mean, in my opinion, he's probably the best wrestler in Europe.
yeah,
FJ is the best wrestler in the country. And Butch Armstrong is not in any shape or form out of his depth in that at that level. So I thought he was brilliant as well. I was great to see for me sitting down on commentary with his old tag team partner Marion Armstrong, and we go way back as well. So that was a really cool moment. But every match was electric there.
yeah.
Reed and Reardon O'Connor was
Oh my
phenomenal.
god, brilliant! Going outside the ring, going up at the bar, everything was just such
Yeah,
a fun
yeah,
match.
yeah. I was a little bit worried about that one. I was like, shit, don't power bomb on the bar, please. But that was really cool. It was my first time. It was the first time the Sam was at RCW. Really good.
That would have created a huge moment with the crowds.
Yeah, absolutely, really good match as well. And I'm a big fan of Renzo Rose's work as well. And we had Jay Money ended up being in Mr. Charlie Fox. So look, it had it all from a bit of hardcore wrestling with Raven Creed and Power Bombs in the bar to one of the best in Europe, and then Mr. Charlie. So it had everything really that we wanted it to have.
Like I think people went for the three matches mainly, the three main events. Leighton Buzzard, Danny Cross, the Raven Creed, and Reardon, and then the triple threat match, and then everything else was so good on top of it. Like kicking things off with the triple threat, CBL getting over the gate, coming through
Yeah,
the crowd, absolutely like ripping past me, pushed me out of the way.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that was cool coming through the crowd. I like that moment. Yeah.
we had him on there 2 weeks ago. It was like, whoever's in that crowd, I'm so sorry. I was like, yeah, that was me who you shoved out of the way. It's like, I'm so sorry. I had to go bursting through.
Yeah,
I don't know who came up with the J Money in the box, but that was hilarious, brilliant. I think that
yeah,
got the biggest pop, obviously outside of LJ winning the title.
yeah,
Um, and then Leighton Buzzard in RCW. Oh my god! And that match especially.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
not that is actually up for my match of the year.
Oh wow, yeah, it was a banger. In fairness, yeah, yeah. Look, I am a big fan of Danny Cross. Love his work. Even though he's a rat, right? Because we're allowed to say that because he's a bad guy. But really good guy. Really, really love his work. He's always put in the shift, be it Phoenix or RCW. He's we and I've a good history of booking him or having him down in Cork since he was kind of coming up in his early days too. So he's a really good guy. And Leighton Buzzard himself had a banger. I was fucking sick that Leighton Buzzard has gone to Japan. Not for himself, obviously, great to see, but I was like, oh, shit, I had loads of plans for him. So I mean, I'm looking forward to having him back when he comes back because he is a real professional, a great guy, unbelievable wrestler, so charismatic. Yeah, he owns the crowd when he's in the ring, and that's what you want to do with when you're bringing in imports. You want your Charlie Sterling, your Leighton Buzzards, your Mark Andrews. You want the crowd to really, really pop for that. Like,
And then one moment I want to talk about as well is from the Dino match was getting pie all over, not just you, but all over that brand new canvas. And the common one, not the canvas, not the canvas.
You know how many people have sent that to me? Just they're watching it and they're screenshotting it and they're sending it to me laughing. That was genuine reaction. Like, for fuck's sake, a brand new canvas. Oh Lord. But yeah, no, that was good in fairness. That was good. That was a real reaction right there. That wasn't my commentary reaction. That was an actual real reaction. But
so did no one tell you about the pie beforehand, or
no?
Just
no, I was just told you're going to love it. I was like, okay. I don't micromanage people. I bring down wrestlers to have a match, right? I like within reason. I might say, look, this is what I want, or blah blah. But I'm not like, tell me everything, because fuck that. Like, because I want them to have freedom, enjoyment themselves. I tell them what I want, and I tell them X, Y, and Z. Hit if it's something specific, like if it's a storyline, it's different. But generally speaking, I just go, okay, here's your time. There's the finish. Have fun. But don't do anything crazy. And if there is something that you want, if there is something I should know, tell me. But yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good.
And then I want to talk about, because obviously, look, you're in Cork. Everyone's going to pop when you go and do something. But getting in the ring yourself, sliding in and dealing with business. I think it was a double clothesline you would hit, or just a clothesline.
I ducked the clothesline stunner. Stunner. Yeah.
And the pop you got after that obviously went into intermission then. Like, how did that feel for you?
Yeah, well, that was a selfish one. I won't lie to you. But I've been through quite a lot this year physically with surgery and everything, and I just and I had a long time sitting on the couch with a lot of holes in my stomach and it missing shows and stuff. So I did that for me. I won't lie to you, I did that for me, but I also want, like, it was supposed to be our last show on the Kino. I know we're back there again, but like we are only doing one show, probably more. I wanted to kind of sign it off as well because people get into zombie, they get into singing it back to me, and I wanted to have that moment in the Kino for the last show. So it was selfish, but it was enjoyable, and everybody enjoyed it as well. So
and then obviously for that. And then obviously. There's no doubt about it. Again, it's up for match of the year. That triple threat match: Charlie Sterling, Butch Armstrong, LJ Cleary. I'm sure in commentary, you two are about to lose your voices.
That was a serious match, with serious talent on it. Like, to be fair, like, I mean, you're looking for a showcase for your champion, for the crown champion, and I couldn't have asked for three better guys. It was legitimate, real. Moments in that match where the crowd just didn't know what way it was going to go, and the electricity was in the room. You could feel it. Like, great match, great credit to all three of them for pulling it off. Wonderful moment, Lee going over and becoming the first RCW champ. So I think that one will be special for a long time. Yeah.
And
I just want to ask about LJ as well.
Yeah.
Like, having LJ as your champion and even still being around and being able to book him on shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's obviously something that's talked about with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it could be a year, it could be 6 months, it could be a year and a half, who knows. But he's going to go somewhere. He's going to go on to bigger things. Like, so how important is it to still have him around?
Very, very, because he puts in such effort behind the curtain and behind the screen, and helping me, helping other people he's with, advice, planning matches, helping other wrestlers. He does so much work, not just in the ring. In the ring, he's absolutely phenomenal. Like, and he's a really good, positive person to have around. He'll be very badly missed when he does go, but I'll be I'm enjoying every second of having him right now. And that's why he's at the top of the bill with getting the marquee matches, because I want to make sure that Cork remembers him, and I want to make sure that I have these moments as well as a promoter with him. So, yeah, while he's around, we're gonna make sure he's doing everything he does to make the RCW as best, and every other promotion he works with, as best as he can. So he's a great lad.
No,
But time is short with him, I'd imagine.
now I know the listeners are probably sick of hearing this story, but I've got to tell the story to every person with RCW involved, because it's so funny to me. Do you know when Charlie Sterling was making his entrance and he grabbed that Perry bottle? So one of the things I love is when Charlie does that. He grabs people beers, he throws it at them, he fucks the cup away. He grabbed the Powerade, obviously poured it out in the crowd. He threw it, right? My mother was coming out of the bathroom and it smacked my mother square in the head. So when Charlie did it, I'm there laughing, pissed myself laughing because I love he does it. And my sister
Yeah.
goes, "That ball, he just hit Charlie," and I went, "Hit mom, that hit mom, even fucking better." Now she loves Charlie Sterling. She gave him a quick pass like, "Who threw that bottle?" It's like, "Oh, Charlie Sterling." It's okay.
Yeah.
I love him. He's grand. He can do what he wants. But
Yeah.
just I wish I caught the. I wish the camera had seen it, or I caught on camera. It was just the sight of someone coming out of the bathroom and just going bunk.
Yeah. I missed that one on myself, but yeah. Look, I'm sure we'll see him in an RCW ring again at some point.
Obviously now as well, we're coming up to the next show. Oh God, it's I've got it here. I forgot the date. It was at the top of my head. Now it's
Rebel.
gone. September 9th.
That's
Yeah,
it.
it's rolling around quick.
Rebel County Dog. Let's go to work.
Yeah,
I
absolute throwback to Reservoir Dogs. Yeah, one of my favorite movies.
and I
So
oh sorry.
yeah, it's running around quick. I'm just it's only in a couple of weeks, you know.
And obviously, you said as well, the last one was supposed to be Takino. This one's going to be Takino again, returning. And already you guys are putting out like LJ Cleary defending
Yeah.
the RCW title against Mark Andrews. Well, how big was that for you to get Mark Andrews to do that type of match?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was like, right, I need his the first defense of the RCW, or the first title match that the RCW is involved with, to be a banger. And I want, again, coming back to, I want to be able to make sure that we give LJ the best matches we possibly can. And when you're looking around at who's available and who's in Europe and who's around, it's like, okay, well, he's a very good wrestler. I loved him back in his Progress days. Obviously, he's doing some really good stuff back in RSI and Impact as well at the moment. So it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. I have a few people on my list of people I'll be booking for the rest of the year and into next year. And his name had been looked at before. So yeah, let's bring him over.
That's one reason why I'm like I have to go down there because I haven't seen Mark Andrews since like wrestle live since he was in WWE, so to get to see him again in Cork
Yeah,
against LJ Cleary, that's a huge match that people cannot miss.
match. Huge match. Can't miss that. Yeah, no, it's going to be a huge match, and I'm really looking forward to that. I think the other one we've announced, we've only announced two so far, is the Sem versus
This,
Mr. Charlie. Yeah, in
the
the
box
box.
versus the bag.
Loser loses the gimmick. So
No,
stipulation there. Whoever loses that match, it will not be, the gimmick is gone. So the stakes are high. The
I'm
stakes are high.
I'm gonna have to jump in that ring. I'm sorry, Mr. Charlie. I'm gonna have to jump in that ring and hit you with a chair or something.
Yeah, well, there's only one way. Well, there's two ways to find out. You either buy your ticket or wait a couple of weeks till it comes out online. Yeah,
That's that's how you sell it.
it's going to be one of those ones that you got to be there. I think it's. I always focus on a live show. I know a lot of other companies have great production. One of the things that I said when I go into RCW, I don't mean to be I don't want to be sounding condescending, but I wasn't going to waste money on cameras. Money I didn't have is what I meant.
Yeah.
I put that money into booking wrestlers to make the live show the best I could possibly have. And I'll build up my own cameras as I'm going. Like I bought some cameras and whatnot, and we still pay for editing and all that. But I'm fundamentally going, we're a live show, and we'll try and record the best we can and put it out for free on YouTube. That's my philosophy on it, because I want to put all the money I have to spend on the show into wrestlers. Yeah, so that's the way it'll be live on or out on YouTube a couple of weeks after. a couple of weeks afterwards. So but that's one of those ones you got to be there.
No, 100%. Like it's already like as you just said. I didn't actually know the stipulation was in there. I'm a little worried now for the Sam.
Yeah, well,
If he loses that bag, I may have to storm the ring. But Sam versus Mr. Charlie, Andrews versus LJ. Again, September 9th. People, like, tickets are on sale.
But when is this going out? Because I can tell you about another match because it's been announced.
Actually, this week. It's actually going out this week.
Is it this week or is it like tomorrow or the day after?
Saturday.
Okay, Saturday. Well, at that point, this will definitely be announced. So I want to get a number one contender for whoever wins between LJ and Mark Andrews. So I have a concept of a match.
Ooh.
6 people in the match. It's a chained to the ring post elimination match. Okay. So what we have is we have 6 wrestlers will start the match. 4 of them will be chained to the outside to the ring post. Okay.
Oh.
And the last 2 guys in the match to be announced will be starting the match as a wrestling match. And every 2 minutes, one of the wrestlers will be released. I'll be doing the releasing, and I'll have the keys to the locks in my pockets, and it'll be randomly selected who will be released. It's an elimination chamber.
Yeah, it's like a chamber.
It is a chamber without a chamber, right? But I kind of wanted the concept of having a multi-man match without having a 6-man cluster, basically. So that's really cool. And in that match is going to be Fabio.
Oh.
It's going to be Martin Steers. It's going to be CBL.
And the
It's going to be Owen Richards.
Ooh.
It's going to be Steve Carvel making his RCW debut.
Big.
And a mystery guy that will not be announced until the night.
Ooh.
But the thing is, will the mystery man be changed to the post?
Don't know. It all depends on the randomator. Well, it doesn't. It depends on let's just keep the 4-wall for a moment. It all depends on the randomator.
No, that sounds like
big match. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
really
like
the concept as well.
We're going to open the show with that. It's going to be first up, and it's going to basically crown a number one contender who can cash in that number one contendership at any stage.
Any stage as well. Oh, interesting.
So it's like a chamber with like a kind of a Money in the Bank stipulation.
Exactly.
Very
love
cool.
that.
That's huge.
Yeah. So I think we've kind of got the best that we've showcased in RCW so far, plus the mystery debutant.
It's actually just Luke Barry hopping off from the commentary desk.
It is definitely not. It's definitely not me either. I'll be there with a lock and a key, and I'll be wearing my suit. So yeah.
A fun idea would be to just have that mystery person come out like a full like suit, showing nothing, mask over his face and everything as well. Last second.
That off it goes. Yeah. Well, it'll be a really cool match. So that's the other one that's going to be announced in the next couple of days. I'd say the rest of them will be announced next week, so I won't do any spoilers.
No, like looking forward to that. I love that concept. Love that concept. The chamber without the chamber and the Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
So,
I just called it a chain to the post elimination match because I couldn't think of anything snappier. But
find something that rhymes with Keno. That's the first thing I was like, oh, what rhymes with Keno that could go with chains?
See, the thing is, this is more than likely going to be our last show for a while in the Keno because I have a new venue. But never again. I'm not closing the door in the Keno. It's just we're moving to a bigger space. We're moving to something that's a bit newer, except it's older. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's an older building, but it's been renovated. It's a nightclub, called the Pav in Cork. It's fucking amazing. It's decorated to a 1950s style. And it's just going to be so good. CCW did a show there about 9 years ago. They did one show there, but that was before it was renovated, and it's really cool. It'll remind you a little bit of Dolan's. The ring is in the center. Everyone's above the ring and around, and a big cinema screen. But it's going to be really cool. I can't wait.
Yeah, I was actually going to talk about that because obviously, you guys announced that in the Wrestle Slam with Jerry that you are moving to a new venue.
Yeah.
This is how shit I am for the first show. I think is October, November.
November 4th.
November 4th. Yes.
Yeah. This is why I bring Carmo.
December 8th.
Yeah, November 4th, December the 8th. We have 2 shows there this year, and we're bringing in Eric Young for
That's a huge one.
our December show. So that'll be really cool. I'm buzzing for that. So stay tuned to your local RCW social media stations for further announcements on those. But we won't be announcing much on that until after September. So we get this done and dusted first.
And I was like,
Go
on.
No, I was just going to say, it just seems that you seem to be getting like a show after show. It just seems to be getting better and better and better. Like you've just finished the last show, which was huge. You're now going into the next show in the Kino. Then you have the 1 year or the anniversary show, and then you have Eric Young. It just seems to be going bigger, 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 bigger. I don't know what kind of task you have in your hands for next year, but
yeah,
best of luck.
you kind of have to say how do I keep like how will I undo myself every time? There is a limit to how big you can go and all that kind of stuff. But I do think we have some really cool plans of doing some bigger shows, maybe a super show next year. And so like why not? You know, if we can build the audience, I think we've an opportunity to get a new not a new audience, connect to more people in a different way in this new place, because their outreach in social media is massive. We could gain some new fans along with our already great fans that we have in Cork. And surrounding neighbourhood counties, you know, we have we always welcome you guys, and we always welcome the boys and girls from Dublin too that travel and around Tipperary, Waterford, anywhere you come from. I was talking to a lad in Longford actually at the Fight Factory show on Sunday. He comes to all the Phoenix and RCW shows all the way from Longford. Wow. He's like, that is commitment, well done. But I think his cousin lives in Cork, so that's the kind of draw. But yeah, I won't be doing shows every month, because I prefer to kind of stagger them a little bit, maybe every 7 to 8 weeks. But sometimes you just do them back to back, because in a new venue, I wanted the December date for Eric Young, but I kind of wanted to test it out first.
Yeah.
Even with the venue themselves, so it'll be a test show as such, but it won't be. I already have it booked. I'm looking at it here on the screen. You can't see it. Oh, it's amazing. I book shows in threes. That's just the way I work. And I've the December show booked as well, which is fucking amazing. My God. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. It's a really cool time. Like I only had the keynote confirmed after we did the Rest of the podcast, because you heard me at this. I literally didn't have a venue last Monday. I got it that night, so I didn't know what I was going to do, whether I had to have to do it up my backyard or whatever. But we would have got it done somewhere. So the next 3 are going to be great. They're a block. Then we'll take a break in January, come into February with something really cool into Good Friday, which is always a good draw. Maybe one more, and then I want to go for a big one. So yeah, stay tuned.
Again, as I said, stay tuned to RCW socials. I think our RCW Wrestling on all the socials.
I'm I should know this. I don't do social media. Marion Armstrong handles that, so I don't really know that. I think it's RCW Wrestling. But yeah, I don't really
and then not only that,
there'll be links below.
There'll be links below the
You showed me up for the photo. I'm shocking in social media, though, I really am. And when I was doing the Phoenix, I got very jaded of it, because I'm not very good at putting out content like that type of content. It's not something that was a strong point. And to be fair, Luke Barry handled it while he was involved in Phoenix with me in the early days, and there was a distinct lack of spelling errors when he took it back over, because I'm as dyslexic as the day is long. So when he took it back over, I was relieved. I was like, please, I'll just give you the graphics, please do it. So yeah, and it's good to have a support network, which is, well, that it's not just all in one person, right? Because that's when you get tired and jaded and burnt out. So we have a good crew. I'm only one person. I know I own it and put kind of book it and all that, but you come show day, I'm not one man. There's a crew behind me. I have people who use the Tom Philpott on cameras with me. I have Marion Armstrong, Luke Barry doing all the technical stuff and commentary. I have Fionn, who you guys know from Limerick anyway. He does an amazing job with all the lighting. I've SBL, which is CBL's brother. He does the graphics for myself in the Fight Factory. I've Heel Turn doing all the merch for me. You know, so it's a amalgamation of loads of people's effort, and then on show day it all comes together, really.
And then one thing as well I want to bring up, because people listening here must love podcasts, because why the hell they're listening to us. The RCW podcast is well coming out soon.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I had a concept a couple of months ago. I was like, look, I'd like some show day content to come out. It won't be an awful lot of interviews, I would imagine, like this forum, because I just kind of want to do something a little bit different. Luke Barry's going to be hosting it because I'll have too much to do on show day. But like, for example, you can grab Mark Andrews for 10-15 minutes, LJ for 10 or 15 minutes. That's episode 1 right there. It's just we'll do one a month. It's not going to be clunky or heavy or looking to talk to people just for the sake of it. It's like, if we have a show, we'll record some stuff and we'll put it out behind the scenes type of thing. So that's going to be it. Yeah, it's not going to be anything that's weekly or looking for content just for the sake of it. It's going to be, if we've something to do, we'll do it.
I beg that one episode has to be every funny or stupid moment to ever happen on an RCW commentary, especially between Justy and Luke. Them two on commentary have me dying every time.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Justy's commentary, and I enjoy doing it as well with Luke when I have to. But yeah, that's not a bad idea. Actually, we could do kind of some of that kind of stuff. That's not giving me a good idea. Thank you.
See, always
Yeah,
on the ball, always
yeah,
on the ball. But obviously, look, the next few weeks obviously will be fun, stressful. You know,
Mm.
everything coming up and between podcasts, between 3 new shows and beyond, the anniversary show, everything.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a busy time for RCW. It's gonna be a busy time for yourself.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, there's always something to do, right? And we're coming into a pretty heavy period of activity with September, November, December. But it's a great place to be. It's the type of busy I like to be. There's no there's no stress involved in it to a certain degree, because I have the shows already kind of booked. I have all the talent already locked in. I got my venues locked in, so there's no real stress in that regard. Show day, all right. There'll be just the running around stress, but then you have the payoff with the show being bangers and the enjoyment and that. And I think by the time we're finished on December the 8th or whatever, when we have the ring down, we'll have a drink and we'll look back in the year very fondly.
And you'll be singing that song again.
Hopefully. Hopefully get Eric Young in the ring singing it. Like, that would be a moment.
Oh my god!
That'd be quite good, yeah.
You'll have him in the corner just standing there going like, "What are these lads on about?"
We go, Eric, come on, get involved. This is what we do here. Please, Eric, we want to go viral. Have a microphone. We had Doug Williams before in CCW. This was after a show, by the way. We were doing karaoke. He was drinking his cranberry juice, and we went up, myself and Burnsy, and I can't remember who else is there. We always just kind of, I'm not saying this is the right thing to do, but we used to always fuck off and not to take down the ring, and go to the bar that was next door in the Glen. And we brought Doug Williams with us this particular time, and there was karaoke on. This is a GA crowd. We were just 3 wrestlers who came in, 4 wrestlers. I think the Executioner was there as well. And we got Doug Williams singing karaoke. I can't remember what he sang. I sang Your Song from Elton John, and then he sang something else. So.
You remember yours because yours was clearly the best one.
Yeah.
Carmo, do you have any final questions?
I have 2 final questions. One is, I don't know how we kind of missed it all on. New tag team champions, or you've new tag team belts?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
So we'll be crowning new tag team champions. The number 1 contenders, are the ones that I can tell you are in the match, are Bearded Beauties, and there'll be 3 other teams to be announced. It's a one and done, 4 teams elimination, or not elimination tag, just one pin to one fall to a win. But we'll crown new tag team champions, because I'm sick of having them belts in my house. They're doing me no good being in my house. They need young wrestlers that will be bringing the tag division to a really cool place. And we have looking at a couple of really cool tag matches that are coming up, and one new debuting tag team as well. I do believe it'll be the first time this tag team will ever be wrestling anywhere in November. And I'm not giving it away right now, but
no,
you'll know the wrestlers, and it's really they'll do a really good job.
As long as it's not Galacini, I'm happy. Carmo.
I'm sure you'll see Galacini around RCW over the next while.
Yeah, well. Last question I had is, it's kind of reverting back to the first RCW show, where we saw the introduction of the Hall of Fame with Corey Wall.
Yeah.
Is this something that we're going to see going forward, or?
Yeah, you will. And the anniversary show, I'll be inducting somebody else. Yeah, I think once a year, I'll do it for as long as I'm around, and then hopefully someone will be nice enough to do it to me. But it's not the RCW Hall of Fame; it's the Cork Wrestling Hall of Fame that I've created. I thought it was a really nice moment for Corey, who has had to retire unfortunately through illness and sickness, and he's had a troublesome couple of years. So he's a really good guy. My heart goes out to him, and it was a lovely moment to be able to give him something, even if it was just that night, give him something to kind of from a wrestling positivity perspective. So it was a nice way for him to end his wrestling days too, you know. But yeah, I'll be inducting somebody else. I'll have to start getting rings or statues or something. Yeah, we'll see.
Do a Slammy award, but you know who you get to pose first? Luke.
No better boy. No better boy. Yeah.
That'd be brilliant.
No better boy.
Carmo, nothing else to ask?
That's it for me. That was kind of my two important questions.
No, perfect. So obviously, Billy, it was absolutely brilliant having you on to chat about Cork wrestling and everything else. Is there any social media or anything that you want to promote? Anything at all? This is your time to shine.
Yeah, look, just follow us on our Instagram and our Twitter and our Facebooks, the usual channels. I hope to see hope to see you guys. I hope to see many more of you guys, and hopefully some of your listeners at the shows. You're more than welcome in Cork. We have great nights, and we have really good product, and we have some really good Irish wrestlers and some good imports mixed in to make it a really positive, special experience. So please join us. You're more than welcome. September 9th, November the 4th, and December the 8th.
Now everybody, get your asses down to Cork, down to the Keno, get down to I don't know the name of the other place. I'm not from Cork. Get down, check out RCW. If you weren't hooked in the feeling and you haven't watched on YouTube, you need to go check it out because it was an amazing show, and that is the reason why you gotta get down to RCW. So, Carmo, this is your time to shine now. Oh, sorry, our socials. Follow us on Twitter, X now, at 5MarksPod, and then 5MarksPodcast everywhere else. For all links and everything that you might get confused on, everything will be in the description of the YouTube. So easy for you guys to all find out. Carmo, off to you.
100%. As I said already, be sure to check out RCW. September 9th in the Keno. Great show coming up. Billy, thank you so much for joining us again today. It's been an absolute pleasure sitting more in chatting to you.
Pleasure.
But for another week, we have been the 5 Marks Pro Wrestling Podcast, and we are officially ding, ding, dong.